doesn't belong there. It's just voice to chat nonsense because I do this stuff. My brain gets going once I start moving, and then it's a question of, do I really have something valid to say? And so I got a small thing to say. I like to pop little thoughts like this out once in a while as a framing mechanism for things I don't really want to talk about, but things that I still see pop up in the sphere of people that are interested in me, that they mean well, but they're still kind of in low vibration things like the significance of politics, so on and so forth, right? So we just had the Iowa caucuses, at least the Republican Iowa caucuses. There isn't really much conversation about the Dems, and I guess nobody wants to go up against the other guy, right? So, you see, if you're not capable of standing in your own authority, you do not create the atmosphere for your politics to be represented. And even if somebody wins an election, they're not going to run that election for ideas that you don't have a strong, rational, dignified posture in the zeitgeist of the culture, which takes time, being either participatory in the conversation or proactively living it in your own life, right? You go through all of the personal struggles, right? It's just like the world's all fucked up, right? There are things that are being denied me, being denied you, despite your efforts, right? And I make great efforts, I work part-time, but I also, it's a permanent, secure job, and it pays well enough because I'm typically 3 to 4 days a week, 5 when it gets busy. And it's been perfectly sustainable, right? And it's not about how much money is available in the world to pay you for your great efforts. It's about where the state of the economy can take you, how it can serve you. Do things exist in this world for you that keep you going, right? Is there something that the state has decided to interfere with in error? Granted, the state was interfering, it's always an error. But is the state particularly interfering with anything that's directly affecting you? Because at the end of the day, you gotta take care of you yourself solely, foundationally, sourcefully. You are taking care of you, and it makes things matter less, right? By and large, 2023 was a great year for me. My day, my year, my world, my nation is not ruined in one iota by the political circumstances of anything. It's hard to say if that's an American thing, and when a leader shows up in another country, it's something worse and something worth fighting about, worth killing about, or whatever. And it's not because of you have voting that that your quality of life is protected, that your ideal concepts and freedom are protected. And you have to find a way that if you're doing something that is culturally frowned upon, that on paper is your right to do, you have permission. I mean, this is, and like when I say on paper, what I mean is, like, I don't mean because, oh, look, it's ratified in a constitution somewhere. I mean, like, when you say it, when you just say it with the meaning of the words, are you doing something that is more than what's on those words that crosses the line, right? The big distinction I am seeing between what people perceive as the violations of the left upon the right and the right upon the left, as far as your overarching general kind of values conflict and where the tension is all because both sides are in violation of natural law when that tension arises, because the tension is by the merit that somebody's free will is in violation. A conservative's right to complain is when that is put out in a public place at a time that is appropriate for families to see it. You're invading the public space with something that might be perfectly fine in private because people need that consent for the things that are like that. I'm a metalhead. I don't just put on my music at every party. I spend my time alone so I can spend my time with my music, because that's my world. You don't want to step into my world. You want me in your world maybe because you like me, but you don't like my music. But I like my music, and I need to give my music time because it matters to me, because I have a certain relationship with it. Thus, I find my place, and I don't fucking act oppressed. Like, ow, I can't blast deicide in front of the kindergarten class. No, you can't. I wouldn't allow it. Right? Like, that's kind of what we're fucking dealing with. You know? It's this inability to take private, adult, taboo freedoms and rights and put them in the public sphere, put them deliberately into the cultural out there, in a way that deliberately is exposing it to children, the naive and the profane. And I don't mean profane in the way that we think of profane. If you've been listening to the deeper esoteric meaning of the word profane, it basically means the mind that cannot comprehend the higher truths within a message. That's that's going to be my kind of like my direct layman's interp of that. So this is why the populism thing popped out, right? And so when you've got a guy like Trump who clears the House in Iowa, basically becomes the standard, unequivocally, something he didn't do 4 years ago and obviously could do now. You got to look for those of you that you're going to go vote, you're going to go endorse violence against another person because your vows to a government are an endorsement of violence in some way, shape, or form, and I won't tolerate it. But if you're going to do that, then I can't imagine that you've got the depth, because somebody with the depth would not be voting for any of these guys at all. the closest things to depth in voting that you could possibly get with a presidential candidate, is going to be guys that may or may not be capable of getting the vote because the culture is not there, because you haven't fortified your posture and your disposition and made it a part of the world, right? What are the social blind spots that politicians need, right? Why would a politician want to appeal to metalheads for what metalheads believe in if it's not anywhere near the angle by which the politician is coming at to get everyone else, right? So the metal vote is going to go a particular way, or they're going to be a free agent kind of vote where you got their vote, but not because you appealed to anything, within the particulars of that culture, other than what happened to be particular to that culture. But you didn't fucking care about them. You'll fuck them over on some other thing. You'll make sure that it's okay that some fucking state can pass some fucking law that makes it fucking impossible for like a venue to make money, and now you don't got places to play your gigs. And then this becomes a political fucking reality, and then you're in that fucking fight for a few years. You're trying to fight for your right to party, and meanwhile you're not fighting for the right to family. You see what I mean? And you sacrifice one upon the altar of the other in this dichotomy, this duality system. Meanwhile, the entire time, the violation upon your rights that you are voting for has been entirely a fantastic illusion, because you can't get enough of media groups that speak abusively towards you, because you assume that the world is going to act according to their delusions and fuck you over, believing the lies that they say about, not you in particular, obviously, because we're talking about people that, they're just another name in the world that has, that has rights and values and all that stuff. But, just you, like, the metalheads, the Connecticut people, however you slice the demographic in which that kind of matters, right? And, a lot of us are kind of sick with demographics, but at the same time, we don't want to fall out of personal collective identities, right? It's one thing to say, oh, I'm human. But, sometimes a little bit of something matters. A little bit of being, some sort of Caucasian or something matters. Being something of being somewhat middle class kind of matters. It depends. It depends. All right. I got to go pick up some stuff and then hit the gym. I'll catch you guys later.